Hi, welcome to the Crafts channel. My name's Corinne Brad and today I'm going to be working with leather to show you how to make some beautiful leather bookmarks. If you've got a friend that's journaling or just an avid reader, these are a perfect gift. They're very simple to make, and even if you've never worked with leather at all, leather's one of those materials that is quite forgiving. So we'll start. I've got a template here, a feather template. You can either draw your own or you can download one from the link below. And this is just a scrap of upholstery leather. You can buy scraps online, you can get them from leather suppliers. If you haven't found anywhere that you can do, you can trawl your local charity shops and car boot sales. I mean, this is a pure leather belt that I picked up for a massive 10p, which would be perfect for a project like this because it's quite stiff. I wouldn't use tooling leather, that is quite expensive, and especially if you're just a newbie to the craft, you don't want to ruin hundreds of pounds worth of leather just by mucking about with it. So get your template and put it on the suede side of your upholstery leather, and I'm going to use a ballpoint pen, just check it's got some ink, to trace around the outside of it, including all the little marks in the quill. Now there's probably lots of leather workers out there screaming at me now because you probably shouldn't mark leather like this. But if you're a hobbyist and you'd just like to try working with leather, then this is a perfect way to start. And I cut my leather out with my dressmaking scissors. Paper scissors, as you're probably aware, you can blunt the edges of your paper of your scissors with paper just because of the content of paper. So you should always keep fabric and paper scissors separately. My daughter knows that she should never touch my scissors for cutting anything, although I do sometimes use these to cut her hair with because they're that sharp. Don't tell the hairdresser. So just cut around the outside, and the reason I've drawn on the suede side is if I miss, oops, where I'm going, it's not going to notice on the correct side. Now what I did forget to do is just put the centre line in. Again, just like this. And I would chop this out. If you've worked with leather before, you can get these knives called swivel knives, which is what proper professional leather workers use, so that you basically you don't have to turn your hand, you just go like this and the blade will swivel. But I've found an ordinary craft person's scalpel works equally well, and if you dig it in so you can feel that it's hit the bottom, you should be able to cut this centre spine quite easily. And then you can just snip out the feathery bits, again with scissors. But leather, like fabric, if you miscut, you can't really glue it back together particularly easily. In fact, actually leather you could probably glue back more easily than fabric without it noticing, but you want to try and be as accurate as possible because what you want is a nice smooth outline. And if it's, you know, being used regularly as a bookmark or a journal marker, it might get quite a bit of wear. And we're not sewing this feather at all. Just trim out the rest of these. The other thing you could do, I mean, if you have a nice dye in a feather design that's not one of these thin dyes, you know, it's more of a chipboard dye, leather cuts really well in a die cutting machine. So if you're making multiple bookmarks or, you know, things like this, you might as well just sit yourself down with some upholstery scraps and cut them all out in one fell swoop. For some reason I just cannot get that point out of there. Oh, that's it. So clear your scraps away. So here is your leather feather, but it's a bit floppy as a bookmark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a decent quality glue, and I'm going to glue it onto another strip of leather, which is slightly thicker. And you can see why these are offcuts. The edge of this hide is where, you know, you can see the marks where it's been pegged out, where it's been stretched to dry. So professionals and upholsterers and that don't want those bits of leather, because they want things that have got no marks on them whatsoever. But they're ideal for crafters, because you're not going to recover a chair. I mean, you might do if you enjoy leather so much, but for small hobby projects like this, you can use, you know, you can cut around the discrepancies in the leather. And if you can't get hold of genuine leather, or you don't want to use genuine leather, there are very good fake leathers on the market now, or pleathers as they're called, and you can always back them with a piece of felt. So you've got the appeal of it, but you haven't got the expense, and you haven't got the worry of using leather if you don't want to do so. So stick your leather down on there, press it down nice and flat. Don't be tempted to go like that, because leather is a natural material and it has got a certain amount of stretch in it. You don't want to distort it. And then simply what you do is, again, take your sharp scissors and cut around the outside to leave, you know, rather like you would matting if you were doing papercraft, to leave a 2mm border, like so. Snip that up there. And then to add a tassel, if you get yourself a leather punch and you don't want too big a hole, just punch a hole in the bottom of your piece of leather. And this is a very fine, a very stretchy, this is called glove leather. This is, it's like velvet. If you can get hold of a thin bit of leather, that's great. If not, leather thong is quite readily available. Fold it in half, poke it through your hole, and then just bring those two ends through here in what's called a lark's head knot, and pull it tight. Around the end there. And then I would just trim the ends into a point. And the other thing you can do with leather is there's quite a lot of like gilding waxes available on the market, and gilding paints and things like that, which I love. So you can either use something like this Pebeo gilding wax, which is what I've used on this one. You simply put it on your fingertip and you rub it where you want to go. Or this isn't wax, this is art metal, and this is, I think, an acrylic paint of sorts. But it has a beautiful metallic effect. And what you can do is you can just paint some stripes so they look like tribal feathers almost. And you can paint stripes of different widths down your feather, just on that top surface only, and the leather will be thick enough that you don't get paint on the underside. Like that. Leave that to dry for a few minutes before you use it. But as a simple gift for a friend with a journal, or there's an avid reader, I do think that these leather feather bookmarks are ideal. So I hope you have fun with that. I hope you enjoy working with leather as much as I do, and we'll see you next time. If you've been inspired to create, please share your makes with us in the comments section below. And if you've enjoyed videos by the Crafts channel, hit the like button. Want to see more of us? Then click subscribe. See you next time.